Built Environment Plus, some folks know us formally as the U.S. Green Building Council Massachusetts chapter. Our mission is to drive sustainable and regenerative design, construction, and operations of the built environment. And it's a constant experiment to figure out how to do that. And so our theory is that we do that in a few different ways. One is through education, which primarily this is about, but it's also about community building, which this is also about. We do some advocacy, which is really connecting the leaders in the industry with people who are advocating for change. And then when we find some holes, we do some research and provide tools that the industry needs. So what's the purpose? Well, we want to get you some money for training. That's the purpose of this event. We want to show you how to do that. And then also in process of getting you money for training, it's also furthering our mission of driving the sustainability of the built environment. So that's what we're getting out of this today. Our agenda, I'm going to give you a little bit of a program overview. I'm going to give you a website tour, and then we'll have some time for discussion, Q&A at the end. So I'm going to talk about Built Environment Plus, but then also Workforce Training Fund. The Workforce Training Fund is a program of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is funded through unemployment. Anyone who pays into unemployment into Massachusetts is eligible to get this money out. To use this money, the funds are, I think the thinking is that let's invest in the workforce before people need to dive into unemployment for being unemployed. And it is administered by Commonwealth Corp. So it's a program of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and it's administered by Commonwealth Corporation. So why, I'm just going to be honest, you don't need us to go for these funding. This funding is available to anyone to go after. You don't need BE Plus, and what I'm trying to show you is why you might want to work with BE Plus and what we can offer you in relation to this program. So far, since 2018, we have been able to secure over now $1.2 million in funds through this program. And we've trained over 800 people across the different grants that they offer. We have a curriculum of about 150 courses that we've curated by working with people who design, build, and operate the built environment who have taken our courses. We've curated a course catalog. The courses span across issues of green building, leadership, business operations, presentation skills, software and tools, so Revit, Bluebeam, and even things like Microsoft Office Suite, so that everyone in the office can have an opportunity. The instructors are leading industry professionals. We have some of our instructors here today. Jim Newman, wave your hand. Bruce Douglas, wave your hand. So some of our instructors are here, and it's really, supporting our mission in that by connecting some of our instructors who are these leading green building industry professionals with the rest of the community. So it's not just education, but it's also an opportunity to connect. And so there might also be not just people on this call who are interested in taking the courses and optimizing, but may also be interested in teaching the courses and being connected to people in the industry. By working with us, you're supporting the mission of Built Environment Plus. We do get, this helps us to further our mission. So why are we excited about this? Well, by helping you all get access to education, it really levels the playing field. So anyone can now, who has employees in Massachusetts, can access our education, can access the training providers, and it helps with equity and diversity. And we're really trying to be connected to more people so that it's not just the people who can afford education who are able to get this. And then as well, it's a way we're really trying to leverage these dollars to bring more sustainability knowledge to the building community. So in the Workforce Training Fund, what programs do they have? Right, they've limited it now to 2 programs, the Express program and the General program.
But just at a high level, the Express program is eligible for any firm that's Massachusetts based and has 100 or fewer employees. And this program's great for any kind of quick needs. smaller grants for individual trainings from our public course catalog, training catalog. There's usually no waiting period between grants. There's no minimum number of attendees who can apply. You can apply for just one employee to take the training, or you can apply for multiple employees at a firm. And Gwen's going to drop some resources in the chat. So we've got the Express Program Guidelines, which is found on the Commonwealth Corp website, specific to the Express Program. And so, as I mentioned, this is typically used for all of BE Plus, not all, but many of BE Plus public trainings. So we can also share in the chat the link to the BE Plus public course catalog and our trainings page. You'll also find on our trainings page a link to our priority training list, which is basically a shortened or condensed version of the course catalog that highlights the trainings that will be scheduled as a priority in the near future, in the new year. Thanks, Gwen. So if no one has any questions on the Express program, we'll move on to the general program. At a high level, this is open to firms of all sizes, so there's no limit to the number of employees, especially if your firm is a little bit larger. This can be a nice option. And this is a little bit more of a deeper investment of time, I will say. BE Plus works closely with the firm to customize a curriculum that takes place over a 2-year period. There is a minimum number of attendees or trainees that need to participate in this program. And these trainings are done on a private basis. So we would schedule, or you would schedule as the firm directly with the instructors in our approved instructor list based on a list of trainings in our catalog that are approved under the general grant program. So Gwen has dropped a link to the general program guidelines. If you're curious and would like to learn more, you can always reach out to education@builtenvironmentplus.org if you want to kind of learn more about how we help facilitate the entire grant process. We'll write the grant for you. We'll set up the curriculum and help administer the trainings and the payment and all of that stuff as well. We can move into some of the changes that have been made recently through Commonwealth Corp. Basically, the Workforce Training Fund program has seen a huge amount of participation, unprecedented levels of participation, and they're required to implement some of these policy changes in order for that, so that more folks can and more firms can take advantage of these grant resources ultimately and serve more businesses in Massachusetts. So I'm going to actually switch my screen share to some of these policy updates that can be found on the Commonwealth Corp website, as well as our the BE Plus website. We have a specific web page that's dedicated to the Workforce Training Fund grants. So this is the website, the BE Plus web page, and if you scroll down, you can see a summary here of some of these policy changes at a high level. So I'll just review them quickly, and I think Gwen shared that same web page in the chat. Again, if anyone has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. So going through, I'll take it one program at a time. The Express program, again, this is for the public trainings, the smaller grant size, limited to 100 employees or fewer. There's been a reduction in the annual maximum of awarded grants from $20,000 to $15,000 per business per calendar year. So that runs from January 1 to December 31. Another change to the Express program is that any investment in training should not exceed $300 per instructor hour. And this is more kind of on our end, the back end, when we set up trainings with instructors. But if you do choose to find an instructor that's not on, say, the approved list, or if you want to bring in an instructor from your network, anything that goes above that $300 per hour, the business is responsible for covering those costs beyond that cap. And then there's a change to the reimbursement rates. This is a big one. So it's according to business size, right? So if you're 100 Massachusetts employees, sorry, if you're 50 employees or fewer, then you will still get that 100% reimbursement. If you're 51 to 100 employees, you will only get 50% reimbursement for the fees paid of those trainings. And there are some limitations in terms of what Commonwealth Corp and this grant program covers in terms of training. So they don't cover the course materials if that's included in the fees, and they don't cover any part of the program where exams are taken, I believe, like any exam fees, as well as any trainings done outside of general business hours. Is that right, Gwen? Is there anything else to add there on reimbursement?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, cool. So moving on, the general program, there's also been a reduction in the total or grant maximum from 200,000 to 125,000. And reminder, that takes place over the 2-year period for all of the trainings scheduled over that course, over that period of time. The average cost per trainee in the general program should not exceed $3,000. And there is an exception to this $3,000 limit for anyone who speaks English as a second language. Again, again with the $300 per instructor hour cap, this also applies to the general program grant. And also important to note, there is a general program grant application blackout that is currently in process and will last through December 17th. So that's been updated on the ComCorp website. I think if you want, Gwen shared the page with the updates, but it's also really great for you to review just in general the guidelines for both the Express program and the general program. Gwen shared those links above when we were going through those programs, but also great to review kind of the changes to the policy as eligibility has changed as well. If you do have any questions or concerns that you'd like to submit directly to the Commonwealth Corp, you can either email us at the education@ email that we provided in the chat, or you can also submit via a form by submitting a ticket directly to the Workforce Training Fund program staff, and they should get back to you fairly quickly. They're usually very responsive. So we can share that form for any questions or concerns in the chat as well. There's also a slew of resources that the Commonwealth Corp has provided in terms of these policy changes, one being an FAQ knowledge bank, and then there's also some Express program one-pagers and a subsidy estimator. So if you're curious about how much your company may be eligible in the Express program reimbursement for each course, this is a great tool to use for determining how much money you'll get through the grant program there. Thanks, Gwen, for dropping those in the chat. I see a question from Rebecca. So the business size only looking at Massachusetts employees or the total company's employees? I believe it's the Massachusetts-based employees, right, Gwen?
Yes, it's employees who work in Massachusetts and pay into Massachusetts unemployment.
I think as far as next steps are concerned, if you're interested in applying for the Express grant program using any of the BE Plus courses, again, I recommend taking a look first at the BE Plus course catalog, and even better, take a look at the priority training list. We've listed the course IDs that correspond to the Express grant eligible courses in that priority training list and also in the course catalog. So you'll be able to actually apply for Express grant funding even before you actually register for these BE Plus courses. So even if we haven't scheduled these courses yet, which for the most part, all of the majority of these courses in the priority training list have not been scheduled, but they are planned for 2025. You can apply for grant funding ahead of registration, and especially if you fill out our training interest form, you will automatically be added to a list that allows us to reach out to you once we have scheduled those courses and let you know, okay, if you've applied for funding, you can go ahead and register for the BE Plus training. And after the training is complete, that's when you would apply for reimbursement through ComCorp. So Gwen shared the BE Plus training interest form. This is a great way to let us know what you're interested in, and we'll reach out immediately as soon as these courses are scheduled, the ones that you're interested in. So really great tool here just to stay in touch with the BE Plus education team. And if you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, definitely a great way to find out when trainings get scheduled. This goes out once a month, and we also have an education section in our general newsletter, which is released on a bi-weekly basis. So definitely check out our website and subscribe to the newsletter if you aren't already. Thanks, Gwen, for sharing that newsletter link. We're throwing lots of links at you. I think you have access to the links for applying for funding. Just a reminder here, something really important to note is that you want to make sure in order to get the approval of funding that you apply for the express, this is for express program applications, that you apply for the grant 21 days before the training begins. This gives Commonwealth Corp enough time to approve the grant and gives you enough time to register for the training before it actually starts, knowing that you're approved for the funding. As I mentioned before, you'll apply for reimbursement through the Commonwealth Corp platform. Once your grant has been approved, it'll be very clear and easy when to do that sort of reimbursement submittal process, but that's another application to apply for reimbursement. This is done after the training has been completed. So you won't get any funds prior to the training, but this will be a reimbursement post-training. As we mentioned, feel free to reach out to education@builtenvironmentplus.org if anything comes up after this point, but we really appreciate your interest in this program and appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn more about it. And we hope you do reach out and take advantage of this great training program.